Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Rachel, and if you're not subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. So today I want to do another purchase or pass video where I talk about some new makeup releases and whether I'm going to be purchasing them or passing on them. And I think I may be changing the name of the series because, to be honest, half the time I don't really buy anything that I say I'm going to purchase just because I don't have all the money in the world and I can't constantly be buying makeup. So we'll see about that. But anyway, let's get into the video because I have a lot of things to talk about. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the new Fenty Diamond Ballout highlighter. So this is a highlighter that is going to be in collaboration with Rihanna's foundation, the Clara Lionel Foundation, which supports and funds groundbreaking and effective education and emergency response teams all around the world, and 100% of the proceeds are going to this foundation. I think that is a great thing. I love when makeup gives back to the community, but personally the highlighter just is not for me. It is a straight up silver Tin Man kind of highlighter shade, and I like sticking to more natural highlighters. So this kind of color for me is not something I'm interested in, but I do like how all the proceeds are going to an organization. I also just want to mention any release dates and places of purchase will be listed down below in the description box. There's just too much to talk about to mention it in the video, but if you do want that information, I will leave it down below. Alright, the next product I want to talk about is the new KEVYN contour book. If you have been following my channel, you will know that I do have one of the KEVYN contour books, and I love it. I think it is a great deal. However, this new one, I'm not quite sure if I'm a fan of. So this one is the Art of Sculpting and Defining of Volume 3, and it comes with one of their Neo Highlight Blush and Bronzers, 2 highlighters, and then it comes with 3 sculpting powders, which doesn't make any sense to me because it comes with the light, the medium, and the deep. And I'm not sure why it comes with all 3 of their contour shades because each contour shade is meant for a different skin tone. Like, not one person's going to need all 3 of them. So maybe this would be good if you were a makeup artist or something like that, but for me, although it's probably a great value, it is only $59 for all that. I just don't think it's worth it personally. Alright, so let's talk about something I do like, since I have been talking a lot of crap. So one product that I do have my eye on and I might eventually purchase is the Natasha Denona Mini Lila palette. I think it is super cute. I have one of the Natasha Denona 5-pan palettes in like the full size, and I really enjoy the formula of it. It's not anything life-changing necessarily, but it is a good formula. And the mini palettes are only $25. Yes, they do come with less product, but honestly, I never go through eyeshadow, so I don't really mind having less product for a cheaper price. And I really am digging those purpley shades. That is the new trend, I feel like, here on YouTube. Everyone wants a good purple eyeshadow palette, and I love the purples in this. Although the champagne and like neutral brown blending shade, I think, are kind of similar to what I already have in my 5-pan that I already own, I'm still kind of interested in this, especially because it's only $25. So. Alright, so the next product I want to mention is just a controversial topic that I kind of want to give my 2 cents on, so we're just going to quickly go over it. And that is the new BeautyBlender Bounce Foundation. It comes in 32 shades, and it is probably the least inclusive shade range ever. Literally, 3/4 of the shade range is meant for light to medium skin tones. So although there are a bunch of shades, this shade range definitely is not inclusive. And the reason why the shade range in particular pisses me off is the reason BeautyBlender gave for this shade range. The CEO or founder said that the reason the shades are mainly light medium is because they're supposed to cater to Latina skin tones, which have more of an olive undertone, which I can appreciate olive undertone because I have one and it is hard for me to find a foundation. But to say it's catered to Latinas is completely false because Latinas come in a variety of shades. Afro Latinas are really deep dark, and so this shade range definitely does not cater to them. Anyway, let's talk about a foundation that has a great variety of skin tones and is super affordable, and that is the new NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundations. This comes with 45 shades, and the shade range actually is very inclusive, has a lot of different shades ranging from super fair to super dark. This is a collaboration between Alyssa Ashley and NYX Cosmetics. Alyssa helped pick out some of these shades and help with the shade range in general. So far, the reviews I've seen on this foundation have been pretty promising for girls with oily skin like myself, so I am excited to see this foundation. Another thing I'm super excited about, and I haven't heard anyone talk about, is e.l.f. came out with some new shade mixers. So they have a few of these foundation mixers. They have a light, a dark, a bronze, and they have an orangey one, and then a warm yellow one. And I'm most interested in the warm yellow one because a lot of the times foundations are not warm enough for my skin tone, so I'm interested in that. I've always been interested in foundation mixers, but I've found that most of them are kind of expensive or not cruelty free. So I'm super excited to see a more affordable and cruelty free brand come out with some foundation mixers. So speaking of affordable brands, let's talk about the two collections that Wet n Wild released back to back pretty much, and a lot of people are talking about one but not the other, so I just want to quickly go over it. First one that I saw was the Fire Dragon vs Ice Dragon collection, which is exclusively I think found at Bed Bath & Beyond and Harmon retailers and things like that, so that might be why not a lot of people are talking about it. So basically this collection comes with some highlighters, bronzers, eyeshadow quads, liquid lipsticks, and pigments. The things that I was interested in when I first saw this collection were the bronzers, because I've never seen Wet n Wild come out with bronzers before, as well as some of the eyeshadow palettes had an interesting color combination. There was I think a green one, and then there's also a blue one that I actually ended up picking up. I picked up this little quad. This is in the shade Mythical Creatures. If you want to know my thoughts on this, I do have a blog post. I'll link that somewhere. But anyway, I thought this collection was really fun because I haven't seen this theme for a collection before, so I thought that was super exciting. However, I will be passing on most of the things in this collection. I'm not into loose pigments, so I'm passing on that. I'm also passing on the liquid lipsticks because they're metallic and I'm not a big fan of that trend. As for the bronzers, as I said, I was excited about it, but to be honest, I have a bunch of bronzers and I don't really need to be adding any to my collection right now, so I will be passing on those. The highlighters are those like duochrome shift highlighters. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big fan of non-conventional highlighters. I will be passing on that. And then as you saw, I did pick up one of the eyeshadow quads, but that one was the only one that spoke to me and I thought was interesting, so I will be passing on the rest of that collection. So moving on to the Wet n Wild collection that everyone is talking about, and that is the Zodiac collection. And so I think the Zodiac theme is fun. I think it definitely is going to become overwhelming at some point, but I do think brands have different takes on what the Zodiac theme is, so it is a little bit more interesting than just the unicorns that we have been seeing. But again, like, this collection is a lot different than the other Zodiac collections we have seen. So this one comes with some lip products, some highlighters, and some eyeshadow palettes. So the eyeshadow palettes are a definite pass for me. I usually like Wet n Wild formula eyeshadows, but the whole like split pan thing is just, I'm not a big fan of. I want dividers in my eyeshadow palettes, so I'm passing on that. As for the highlighters, they do look really pretty. The loose one I was excited to see because I heard great things about the one in the Gothic Graphic collection, but after seeing swatches of the loose highlighter, it is way too like white and intense for my skin tone, and I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of look, so I will be passing on that. The highlighting bars actually look really pretty, and I'm interested in the Air one, which has more of a pinky neutral tone to it, but I mean, I have a lot of highlighters, so I probably won't be picking it up, but I do think it looks really pretty. And then after the lip glosses, I think the colors are unique and pretty, but they're not something I would wear personally, so I'll be passing on. So while we're on the topic of Zodiac themed things, let's talk about the Kathleen Light and ColourPop collaboration. So I do think, again, this is a different take on the Zodiac than the Wet n Wild ones. I think I will give this collection a pass for being like repetitive, but this collection does not speak to me as much as the Wet n Wild one did. Eyeshadow palette for one, I do agree that there are some pretty colors in it, but I feel like the palette does not look very cohesive. I love the pops of color in the palette, like, don't get me wrong, I love how brands are beginning to include more color into the palette, and I'm sure that each color represents the zodiac sign in some way, and that might be why the palette itself is not very cohesive. But to me, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get inspired by the layout. The Super Shock highlighters, I personally don't like that formula. I know I'm in the minority when I say that, but I don't like the Super Shock formula, so I'm passing on those, as well as the lipsticks. I haven't tried them out, but again, I don't need any more lip products, so I'm not interested in those. The liquid eyeshadows do look really pretty, but I probably won't be using them that often, so I'll be passing on those as well. Alright, so now let's talk about an eyeshadow palette that I am interested in, and that's the Norvina palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. The layout of the palette is very inspiring to me. I think the way that they laid out the colors with the neutral shades looks more intriguing and inspires me more than the ColourPop one does. And don't get me wrong, I do wish that they included more purples in this palette. Like, instead of that warm brown, I wish they included like a mid-tone purple, and then instead of that like reddish, like dark reddish brown, I feel like they should have included like a berry shade instead. So I do wish the color story was a little bit different, but overall I think the palette is very cohesive and is inspiring in a sense that it has neutrals but also has pops of color, and they're arranged in a way that helps me create more cohesive looks. This is a product I think I will purchase eventually, but I'm not in a rush to purchase because I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, but I definitely have my eye on this one. I think maybe during the holiday seasons or something like that, or if it goes on some kind of sale, I would definitely be interested in purchasing it. I think I've been talking really fast in this video and I'm so sorry. I just have so many things to talk about and I want to cover all of them. So the next thing I want to talk about is a new Marc Jacobs release, and so they're coming out with some single eyeshadows as well as some glitter infused eyeliners. So the product that I think is the most interesting out of this release is the glitter eyeliners. I love when like more luxurious designer brands do something more fun, because I feel like a lot of times you think with designer brands it's like very neutral and boring and like it's not anything really exciting, but I like how they have some colorful shadows and like glitter. Like I feel like it's something you don't really see from high-end luxury brands. So I'm excited to see that, but personally I'm not a fan of pencil eyeliners, so I will be passing on that. And then as for the eyeshadow singles, I feel like the shades that they picked are so boring. Like it's like a neutral champagne, a neutral bone color, a neutral brown, they have a gold, a copper, and then they have like a bronzy shade and like a reddish brown. And then there's one kind of like greenish shade, which I think is probably the most interesting out of any of the shades in this line. But none of the shades are life-changing or new that I would want to spend that much money for a single eyeshadow. So although I think it is great that they're coming out with some singles, I am not interested. Alright, and I think the last thing I'm going to be talking about today is the new Urban Decay eyeshadow palette. So they're coming out with a new eyeshadow palette called the Aphrodisiac eyeshadow palette. I really like how Urban Decay is coming out with more smaller eyeshadow palettes. I feel like they have been known for these huge palettes, like their Vice palette, their Naked palettes, like the Born to Run has a lot of shades in it too. So I'm happy to see that they're going for smaller eyeshadow palettes these days. But for me, this palette, just the color story is not speaking to me. There's one pop of color in this, which is like a magenta-y pink shade, which I think is pretty, but it's like a shimmer shade, and I wish that it would have been a matte. I don't know, I like having colorful shades and matte shades versus shimmery shades. That's just me personally. And then all the other shades in this palette are pretty much neutral, so nothing new for me. Although I do like it as a small palette, I probably won't be purchasing it just because the color story isn't interesting. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I apologize if I was talking way too fast in this video. I was trying to get everything I needed to say in the shortest amount of time possible. Although I love watching really long YouTube videos, I know not everyone does. I've been trying to keep my YouTube videos on the shorter sides. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!